Perfect. Welcome everybody to ChatGPT Plus versus Claude Pro for accounting professionals, brought to you by Hector Garcia, CPA, myself, and in collaboration with CPA Academy. We have a link on the top right of the screen, which are the public slides. These are the same thing as the slides that you can download in PDF via the webinar portal. However, in some cases, and because of the speed of AI and changes and things that we kind of do on the fly, I tend to add things to the slides. So if the static PDF slides that you have don't contain the things that I'm changing on the fly, especially if I find some resources or some chatbot links and that sort of thing, you'll kind of get it once we start getting into it. You always want to reference the public slides because this is a presentation that I update every quarter or so, and we'll continue to put it in YouTube, in CPA Academy, in multiple resources because this is not a static thing, right? AI is something that's sort of ever changing. So keep in mind that the link of the public slides are sometimes they're going to have a little bit of updates versus the flat or the static PDFs. Okay, table of contents. Well, we already did a quick introduction about myself and the webinar series. We'll talk a little bit about some of the precursor webinars that came before this that you can watch and learn from if some of these topics tend to be a little bit more advanced. We are a little bit in sort of level 2, level 3 of the AI world at this point with this. So we're going to go pretty deep in pretty advanced topics. Then we're going to discuss what we will not cover, just to make sure that we understand what this webinar is not going to be covering. And then we're going to talk about how to compare alternatives. ChatGPT is a big behemoth in this AI world. And we're going to shine some light into Claude, which is ChatGPT's biggest competitor. And also shine a light in all other AIs that are out there that you should be always comparing to see which is going to be the best for your accounting practice. Then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it. We'll go deep into custom GPTs in ChatGPT Plus, and then we'll go into projects for Claude Professional. So about myself, I'm a practicing CPA tax preparer since 2009, based out of Miami, Florida. I am an advanced certified QuickBooks Pro advisor, was named QSP Partner of the Year last year. I have a podcast all about QuickBooks. I have a YouTube channel. I started an app called Right Tool. And also I'm the host of a brand new conference concept called Reframe. This year in 2024, we're going to meet in Hollywood, Florida. This is close to Fort Lauderdale. So there are links to all that stuff in the slides, and there's my email address. So if you have any questions about any of the stuff that I do or this webinar, something that wasn't clear or whatever, don't hesitate to email. I'll do my best to answer as soon as possible. In the slides, you're also going to see links to all 3 precursor webinars. So we have ChatGPT Basics, ChatGPT Advanced Concepts, and the alternatives to ChatGPT, where we do introduce the concept of Claude. And actually, it was the feedback on part 3 where people are saying, wow, this Claude seems really interesting. Could you do a webinar where you just deep dive into Claude and compare it with ChatGPT? And this is what this webinar is. This is sort of coming from the feedback from that part 3 alternatives to ChatGPT session that we did in CPA Academy. So links to all those, you can watch them if they have been archived already. Now, I just want to quickly plug, and there's no sponsor for this webinar per se. We're not going to sell you on any separate app or anything like that. But my conference, the one that I designed, I'll be teaching in, we have a whole bunch of guest speakers, is called Reframe Influential Conversations for Accountants. It's in a beach resort in Hollywood, Florida, right after tax season, October 16th to October 19th. Tickets are $1,800. We're close to 80% capacity in those tickets. And we have 2 early bird coupons left. So depending on when you're watching this, you want to make sure to take advantage of those early bird coupons to get a discount and come to this conference. This will be a unique conference, one of a kind, guaranteed to be the best learning experience as an accountant you will ever have, particularly with learning how to get better and improving your communication skills with clients, with team members, with peers, and most importantly, with our software partners who seem to be sort of getting in the way of our work. Okay, so let's talk about what we will not be covering in this webinar. So we're not going to be covering any sort of introduction, how to prompt, any basic ChatGPT functionality. We're not going to get into semi-advanced functions like image creation or code interpreter or the web search. We've covered that in past webinars. We're not going to be covering anything that's on the free version of ChatGPT and Claude. we're going to be working only on the paid editions, and there's a very specific reason for that. None of us are being paid to plug these things. They're $20 to $30 a month. It's a negligible cost compared to the power that they have. But you need to be in the paid accounts for two reasons. One, the paid accounts do not throttle as much as the free accounts. So the problem with the free accounts is you start chatting, and by the time that you're sort of almost done with the work, it will tell you come back in 3 hours because you use up your free tokens or whatever. So you want to use the Pro edition or the Plus edition, the paid editions, to get a little bit more, sort of runtime out of them. And second, only the paid editions allow you not to train their AI with your data. So if you're uploading client data, possibly client-sensitive data, transaction data, profit and loss balance sheet, whatever you're uploading into the app, you do not want that information to become permanent part of the knowledge base for that AI, for somebody else using the AI to somehow stumble upon that. So only the paid editions give you the ability to opt out of any of the stuff that you feed it for it to be feeding the general AI. So that security piece is really important for you to be a little bit more, just a little bit less worried about the AI saving your client information if you're going to be working with that. Now, I have a live Google Sheet that I will be updating probably in a monthly basis. The link is on the slides. I grabbed the most popular AI platforms that are out there, ChatGPT, Claude, and a whole bunch of things that we will not be comparing in this webinar, but we have compared in other webinars like Google's, Twitter's, Facebook, Microsoft. Almost every one of these big tech companies are getting into the AI game. So I'm going to continuously be comparing them and give you a good, simple place where you can go analyze all of them. So that's a really important piece. Make sure you check out that link and it's a live Google Sheets that is there. Now, before we get started into it, I just want to highlight that the two that we're going to be comparing is going to be the first two, ChatGPT and Claude. So I'm going to highlight these two here for a second so make it a little bit easier. So these are the two that we're going to be doing a deep dive on. And the most important thing, just so you get your head wrapped around the differences between them, is that Claude, which in many ways is more powerful than ChatGPT, and I'll get into that, doesn't do web search. Okay, so Claude is always going to be stuck with the internal knowledge base that has been updated up to April 2024. Now, ChatGPT actually has a little bit of an older cutoff date. It has been updated up to October 2023, but it has the option to do a web search. So ChatGPT could feel a little bit more real time because it can actually search the web and compare its general knowledge with whatever it can find with a simple Google search. I would say those two are the biggest differences that would give ChatGPT a slight edge. Now, on the other side of the coin here, we have these two. This line here called read large files. Now, if you actually go into any of the app-sponsored comparison guides, for the most part, and I'll zoom in here a little bit, for the most part, they're going to claim that ChatGPT has a pretty large context window that is comparable to Claude. But in my field experience, I have found that Claude is much better at managing large files. So if you upload a 500-page document to ChatGPT, it's very likely that ChatGPT won't accept it, where Claude can. Okay, so that's a really important piece, context window, because as we talk about building custom apps and custom workflows, you're going to be feeding it knowledge base. And if you're going to be feeding it stuff like IRS instructions, some of these files are pretty big, right? So I find that Claude is actually much better at handling large files, where I find that ChatGPT, even though it's limited to smaller files, it's a little bit easier to use. And as we actually do the demos, that would be very, very clear. So obviously check out the comparison guide. I'll keep the markings there, so when you go back to them, you can see it. And again, it's going to be a constant sort of labor of love for me to come back and update these sheets. Now, there's a slide there with several links that actually do live ranking of all the AI platforms. So if you click on any of these, you're gonna see, how these websites rank all the platforms. So you'll be able to see, which ones they determine to be the best performing, the highest performing, and they have all sorts of different categories that they do it in, right? So like, for example, if I select the finance category, which is gonna be mostly number centric, you're gonna see that ChatGPT is actually more powerful on financial number centric type of data. But if you go to something like, I would say like writing, or let's do legal, which is going to have less numbers, you're going to notice that maybe Meta Llama, which is the Facebook one, or Google is a little bit better. Now, again, some of these comparisons, they're so nitty gritty and let's call it nerdy per se, that they may not be as useful in the real world. So you might need to depend more on webinars like this, where we have real people using this in real world cases. But these are really cool websites for you to do your own research in terms of the different language models. The other really cool website is called the Chatbot Arena. So if you want to compare, let's say, for example, two different chatbots, this is really cool. So you want to compare two different chatbots, there is something called Arena side by side. And what you can do is you can grab, for example, ChatGPT 4.0 latest, which is, or maybe ChatGPT 4.0 August 6, whatever is the latest platform, and you want to compare with Google or even Claude, you can actually give it a prompt of what you want. So you can say something like, explain the changes in R&D credits in 2022, or something like that. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm giving it a very simple prompt, right? Explain the changes in R&D credits for 2022, and then you click on send. And what's really, really neat about this is now you're gonna see it compare the two. So let's just click on send, okay? And as you can see here, okay, you get answers from both. And I'm not gonna go in there and read the answers for you, but it's just kind of important that you can actually compare the two things back to back. So that's a really important piece of it. All right. So there's another slide with alternatives to ChatGPT, and I give you links to all of them. So Google, Meta, Grok, Spark, CPA Pilot, and I actually compare some of these on a previous episode. So I wanted to allude to that. All right. So let's jump right into ChatGPT Plus custom GPTs, and the slides contain page by page kind of a walkthrough on how you build your own custom GPT. I'm actually going to do this live on the screen, but I wanted to allude to the fact that everything is on a screenshot, so you can follow that. So I am in ChatGPT, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's called a custom GPT. This is the most advanced functionality that you have inside ChatGPT, and you must be on the paid version to create your own custom GPTs. So you're gonna open that sidebar on the left navigation bar, and you're gonna go to where it says Explore GPTs. So once you get into GPTs, you're gonna have the option to either explore a GPT that has been made public. So tons of creators like myself and other sort of ChatGPT enthusiasts, they'll create their own GPTs, and you can go into all the different things that are out there, or you can create your own. So to create your own, you're going to click on create on the top right, or click on my GPTs. So I'm going to go into my GPTs, so we can I can show you some of the things that I have created in the past. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite applications of this, which I'm calling Firm Bot Pricing. And it's a custom GPT I built to kind of help me, give me a general guidance on how to price projects, monthly bookkeeping, cleanup projects, that sort of thing. And I'm going to first start by just showing you what it looks like when it's done. And then we're going to go into the guts of it, and we're going to see how this is constructed, so you can think about how you're going to build your own sort of pricing philosophy and pricing strategy to help you and members of your team maybe give you a general guidance. I'm not saying you're going to grab the exact same dollar amount that this gives you and that's how you're going to price your work, but it's to give you a general guidance. Okay. So the bot itself, you can pre-program it to have a couple of preset questions. Okay. And these preset questions are sort of like a prompt to get started, but you can start with any question. So I can start by saying, I have a new lead. It is a marketing services firm looking for monthly accounting. And you just start simply just by saying what you want, and the bot has been predetermined to understand with context that this is a firm pricing tool, and I have pre-built a set of questions. And you will be doing this too. You're gonna figure out what are the set of questions that you, for your firm, you want the user of this chatbot to be asked, to be guided through the process of figuring out the price. So it says number of bank accounts the client has. So I'm gonna start with 7 bank accounts. Okay, and then I'm gonna start answering all the questions, and it will remind you that you have to continue to answer the rest of the questions. So I'm gonna do 2, 3 credit cards. Okay, and then I'm basically just answering as I go. Okay, so just answering each of the questions, and I can go in there and continue to answer the question. So I don't have to identify them as 1, 2, 3. So the neat thing is you can just write natural English on this. So I can say they are okay with 3-day response time, and I'm following the guide because that's what the custom GPT is for. Yes, they use 2 PayPal, 1 USD, and 1 Canadian or something like that. Okay. And then so I answered basically 2 questions at once. Okay. And it's starting to create the context. So do they need to break down by department? I'm going to say yes. They have 3 general sales teams. They want to track sales by. Okay. And again, this is my own understanding on how long it takes to do, a job where we break down sales by class or by any dimension, right? Location, whatever. And then we have the rest of our. So it has enough. It has enough information to now give you a summary that says, yeah, I have enough information to now come up with a price, and then it built pricing tiers for me. So it says, pricing tiers for marketing firm name, monthly accounting services, and I pre-built this for me. So we have our first tier, which is $1,800 a month, and it tells you what it's going to be covered. And then it's got the middle tier that says we do additional reviews, like monthly department by departmental sales. So notice that in the first one, it has revenue tracking, but then this one's doing maybe some additional reviews, some monthly, and you can expand from here. And then we have the highest tier, which has a dedicated account manager, enhanced reporting, analytics and sales trends, quarterly financial review meetings, whatever it is. So this is what I pre-built in the bot to generate. So the pricing criteria, all of these things are the things that you are going to build. You're going to be building this as you go. So that's a really important piece, is to get a general idea to what it looks like, when it's done. So now we're going to build it from scratch. So this is going to be tons of fun. Let's build a GPT from scratch. So I'm going to go back to Explore GPT. I'm going to click on the top right and click on Create. Okay. And then I have 2 choices when I create a custom GPT. I can either do create mode, where basically you chat with it and it will build the prompts based on your chat conversation. Or you can go to advanced mode and then just go straight into building the custom GPT. So I'm going to go to create. I'm going to start with easy mode. And then it says, what would you like to make? And we're going to say, this is a bookkeeping cleanup pricing tool for accounting firms. Okay. So I just give it the name, and then it'll start building the name of the bot, the description of the bot, and it just kind of does that for you. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a slower process because you have to wait until it sort of thinks and it gives you a suggestion. So this says, I'm going to call this bookkeeping pricing pro. Do you like that? And I can say yes. If I say no, then it'll give me other options for a potential name. Okay. And then so it will start by doing that. Okay. And then it also generates a little icon for you. And again, this is what the chat mode does. It makes it a little bit sort of friendly. Okay. And then it will go, okay, that's fine. Okay. I don't need a profile picture. So if it has an issue creating the profile picture, it will skip through it, but you can have it insist. Okay. So now let's go through pricing philosophy. So we're going to say, number 1, the minimum is always 1,500. So I'm going to say 1,500. We do not take work under that ever. Okay. So I'm going to start sort of giving it my philosophy. And again, this is the slow mode, which is a chat where you, again, in a more conversation style, you start giving it information. And with the chat mode, with this system, it will start building the prompt for you. Okay. So the next one is we do not do work more than 10K. By definition is too complex for us if the work gets to that amount. Okay. So I basically created my floor and my ceiling. Once again, this is going to be custom depending on your firm, your style, how you want to approach this. You're going to create these limits, this minimum maximum type of stuff. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. Generally, we group the work based on three types, and I'm going to tell it. So 1, simple, 2, medium, and 3, complex. And I'm going to say, I will give you the criteria for each. Generally, simple is average at, let's do 2000. Medium, average at 5000. And complex, average at 7500. So I told her we're going to group the base based on, we're going to group our jobs based on these three criterias, and I'm giving it a pricing range. Okay. So now I'm going to explain what each thing is. Okay. So simple is generally, and we're going to put here under 4 bank accounts and credit cards combined. We're going to say no class tracking, no location tracking, no customer job tracking. We're going to pay no PayPal or third-party payment processor reconciliation, QuickBooks Online, at most 1 year of cleanup. Okay, something like that. Okay, so I'm telling you more or less what this is. I want to give it some more for simple. At most, let's do 500. Let's do 1,000 transactions total. Okay, so I can just continue to feed it more information, and it will sort of build that prompt for me. Okay, so then I'm gonna feed it complex, and then I'll just say, hey, fill in the gaps. Anything in between is probably going to be in the middle. Okay, so complex. Let's do complex is typically. Let's say typically, and then we'll start. Okay, so over 5,000 transactions, over 10 bank and credit cards. Let's do more than 1 year cleanup, max of 2. Then we'll do yes to PayPal, Shopify, POS, and other external sources of revenue to reconcile. Yes to class, location, and or customer job tracking. Yes to inventory adjustments. Okay, so now I told the complex, and then I can just say anything sort of in between is medium. Okay, again, this is the cool thing about ChatGPT is you can just give it the two extremes, and it will understand how to average these two. Okay, so let's do everything everything in the middle is probably medium. Okay, so now we started with sort of like the hard portions of how do we evaluate the amount of work. Now we can add it some soft level of measurement. So we can say this particular client could be a pain in the butt if these sort of things happen. So I want you to sort of like add a premium or reduce a premium. Okay, so we are going to add a premium of, let's say, 20% to 40% if the client seems to be high maintenance. These are the criteria for that. Okay, so we're going to tell it what the criteria for that is. So we're going to say request same day or next day response time, wants us to look at their spreadsheets and files they randomly randomly put in their Dropbox. Fired the last accountant based on high levels of expectations, etc. Okay, so now we're adding sort of like a premium based on that level of complexity, and then we're gonna maybe we'll do the opposite. We can do a discount for the following. Okay, so we'll specify that in a second. So let's say I also want to consider a discount of 10% to 20% for this criteria. Okay, so number one, a client is open to always using our portal for uploading all communications, documents, etc. Will never say go to my Google Drive and get it, something like that. Okay. Also, client was satisfied. Let's do client was satisfied. Client was satisfied with last accountant, but wanted a more cloud centric and modern firm, right? Something like that. Okay. And the last one is client is okay with 3 to 5 day response time. Okay. So now I gave it sort of like the spectrum of the two. And even within the chat, I can say, help me build a questionnaire to get to the point where we can determine how we're going to price the job. Okay. So we'll wait for that to be answered. We'll wait for that. Okay, there you go. Perfect. So we can say, help me add to the prompts a set of questions to guide me into giving you the answers that will allow you to let's just do determine the simple, medium, complex type of client, and 2, whether there is a discount or premium for levels of expectation. Perfect. Okay. So again, we're using complete natural language. We're chatting with it. We're telling it to help us build that. So as soon as this is done with this will actually do that. And then we'll say, no, we're ready. No, we are ready. Okay. And that's it. So you had a conversation. It built it for you. So then I'm going to click on create on the top right. And at this point, I can choose whether I want to make this public. Okay, I can make it public by putting in the GPT store. That means anyone in the world will be able to find this firm pricing tool. Or I can just make it anyone with a link, which means you would have to copy and paste this link to someone directly for them to be able to play with it. Or you can do anyone at your firm, right? Because we actually have a firm account, so only the people that are in my firm can use it. So I actually love that we can do that. Now I'm gonna do anyone with a link. I'm gonna click update, and then I'm actually gonna copy and paste the link in the chat and put it on the live slides. If you wanna play with this right now, like in real time, you can play with this. So I went ahead and put the link in the live chat, and I'm going to open up right here and open up a new slide and put firm. So it's also in the live slides, firm pricing, but example. Okay. And this is one thing I love about ChatGPT that you will not get with Claude. Although I strongly believe Claude is actually stronger than ChatGPT in many ways, and we're going to cover that in a little bit. But I love the fact that I have so much control over sharing these bots. You don't get that level of, at least not yet, you don't get that. So it's in the slides, it's in the chat for the people watching live. So now I can go back into ChatGPT and I can test this, okay? So I can say, I have a new lead, help me price it, okay? And there we go. So it's actually going to ask me to answer some questions, and it's really neat because it already sort of preset the questions for me and it's guiding me to the process. So we're going to put January 2023 to let's do July of 2024 is cleanup period or something like that. Period. Okay. And so you start giving it the information, and again, it'll follow through with the questions. Okay. So then the next question here is combined number of accounts. So we're going to put here 5 bank accounts and 3 credit cards. And then we do comma, we can do PayPal, yes. And then we'll do no class, location, customer tracking. Number of transactions, let's say is 2,000 transactions. Client wants 2-day response time, but okay with using all of our portals. Okay, so this is going to do all the math, triangulate everything for you, summarize the situation, and then give you the price options here. So it's actually going through and using all of the sort of the logic that you gave it, and it's saying, okay, so we're thinking that this client is somewhere between medium to complex. The base price on this should be somewhere between 5,000 to 7,500. Because the client has some preferences, we're going to add a premium to this because of the response time. So it's giving you the estimated price. So you will tweak this as much as you want and as much as you can based on whatever your philosophy is. But what's really cool is ChatGPT is so powerful that I can say, help me build a good, better, best offering that starts at 3,000 and removes some features and scale up from there. Okay, and this is not the part that I built into the philosophy. This is more the ChatGPT portion, where it'll start doing a little bit of sort of recalculation for you and sort of build, 3 offerings for you with some exclusions to make sure that you are sort of on the right track, when it comes to, building something where you are setting expectations or scope limits, that sort of thing. Okay. All right. Perfect. So this gives you, this just gives you a general idea of how you build a custom chatbot in ChatGPT. You can do all sorts of things. Let's go into Claude. Okay. So Claude is made by Anthropic. This is the competitor of ChatGPT. It's extremely powerful, as I mentioned earlier, mostly so you can upload larger documents. And they have a new feature called projects. And what projects does is allows you to build something similar to custom GPTs. At this point, custom GPTs is a lot more mature than projects. So you're going to see that custom GPTs feel like a little bit more robust. But the Claude engine is actually a little bit stronger for longer documents. So let me show you how projects work. So when I click on projects, we're going to have all of the different projects I created. And each project, it's like a custom GPT. So for example, I have this project called IRS Tax Instructions Research, which basically what I did is I uploaded 4 documents from the IRS, and then I added some custom instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and do that from scratch so you kind of see how this works. So I'm going to click on Create Project on the top right, and then I'm going to call it IRS Instructions Research Project, or something like that. Okay, so IRS Instructions Research Project, and we're going to say is you will check general knowledge and uploaded context to give advice to me, a CPA, on how to treat tax situations, something like that. Okay, so I created my project. This is the sort of the original type of context that we start giving it. Now this will start as a private project, and then if you have the team version, you can share across your team. Now here on the top right, there's this thing called Set Custom Instructions. We're gonna click on that, and then I will paste what I had in the other bot, which is you will combine your general knowledge and specific IRS instructions uploaded to provide an answer about a tax question entered by the user. If your answer comes from documents provided, provide the name of the document and page numbers for reference. If your answer is from general knowledge, provide the code of the IRC section or irs.gov specific pages. So we'll save that instruction. And then when we add content, this is where we're going to add particular documents. So we're going to go into the IRS website. Actually, we're just going to Google here, and we'll just put, let's start with maybe the Schedule C. So we'll download Schedule C instructions, and we just download the PDF, right? Basically just download the PDF, and we'll save that. And then let's go and let's get IRS business deductions publication. And let's download this thing called the publication 334, which is the tax guide for small business. We'll download that. Okay. And then let's get, let's see what else we can download. That would be interesting. Let's see this one, publication 529. Okay, good. Miscellaneous deductions. We'll take that too. Download that. And let's see what else we can download. Let's see what we have here. There we go. Starting a business and keeping records. Okay. So I downloaded just basically a couple of documents from the IRS, and I'm going to instruct Claude to only sort of use that as a general guidance when answering questions. So this is how it could be more powerful for accounting firms, where you turn a general use and a general purpose AI to something that's just more focused on particular things that you want. Okay, so let's grab all these documents that I downloaded. We'll upload those bad boys into here. It will upload each of the documents, and it will tell you whether it's close to its context window. So this is 81% of the knowledge size used. So as Claude gets better, they're going to also expand the context window. And this is where I mentioned earlier that ChatGPT will probably not allow you to upload so many documents, or it can't handle so many documents, so many files, so much data at the same time. So this is telling you that you're 81% capacity. So I could probably add one more document until we get to the maximum capacity. Okay, so this should be good enough for me to get started. And then now I'm going to ask it the particular tax question. So I have a client that has a marketing firm and wants to buy a boat. And he insists that he can make it deductible. Can let's just do deductible here. Can you look at the docs and tell me how to explain if this could be deductible and in which cases it would not. So instead of just using your standard instinct answer and just sitting there over the email, just like, oh, how am I going to answer this question? How am I going to like have this awkward conversation? You know, we already loaded the ChatGPT with the specific documents that we wanted to search, and then it will do its own thinking per se. So we'll just give it a little bit of a chance. Maybe it takes maybe 2 to 3 minutes generally. Of course, the bigger the data files, the longer it will take. Okay. So here's his answer. Okay. So based on the provided information, the uploaded documents, here we go. So potential deductibility. So it says a boat could potentially be deductible. However, you know, it must have clear business purpose. Reference publication 334. So that's really cool. It tells you specifically which publication and which chapter is using for context. So that will also help you attach, you know, your email response or your opinion letter or whatever, attach some official IRS documents and have the person reference that. So here's the cases in which it might be deductible. And then we have cases in which it will not be deductible. And then, you know, here's what it references. So some important considerations, you know, business versus personal. Here's a couple of other notes and where to see these things in the publications that you provided. So that's gonna sort of shortcut you into giving them an answer. And what's also really cool, it tells you, hey, there's another publication that's not even part of your context that you might want to consult, publication 463. So of course, if I want to go back and edit this project, so we'll go back into the project and then we go back into Google here, and we'll go to publication 463, and we can download that too, and hopefully it will fit into the context window, or maybe there's no, doesn't seem to be. Okay, there's the PDF version. So we'll download that. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'll be able to add this. If not, I'll replace another one. So let's upload that one as well. Okay, let's see if we get to the maximum capacity. And if we do, okay, so if we do, we can delete one of these. So maybe I'll delete the Schedule C or something like that. Almost. So we'll delete the 529. So that's the only piece here. So you kind of have to play with the context window. Again, the bigger, longer the document, the closer you will be to that context window. And then I can go back and ask the same question, but now with the new documents that are here, and I should get a slightly different answer because it's now potentially referencing other documents, right? Or different new documents and other documents. And again, keep in mind that this will always use general knowledge, and some of the stuff from these documents are already in the general knowledge. But what is not going to be in the general knowledge is which page number, which chapter to reference to. If you want to get to that number, that level of detail, then you want to upload the specific publication, so it can tell you based on the specific publication, where is it referencing for the context. So this is we get a little bit different answers because it's using different documents for context, and it's telling you specific which pages you can use for reference. So just a great example on how you build your custom agents, your custom chatbots that are basically designed for a specific purpose. So that, to me, that's really, really valuable. Okay. So again, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT here, and I'm going to go back into my GPTs. I'm going to show you a whole nother thing. Okay. So I'm going to show you a GPT that I created specifically for extracting information from bank statements. And I will tell you that it's not perfect, but it just gives you a good starting point. So I have this thing called Statement Converter, which is a custom GPT I created. I'm going to go into Edit It to show you the prompt. Okay. So this is the prompt that we did. So this should give you a general idea. This is how we build it. We said this GPT assists on converting PDF to CSV files. It provides clear instructions on how to upload the files, et cetera, et cetera. If their bank statements use this criteria, right? So date, check number, description, include the payee names and amount. If they are credit cards, use a different criteria. Don't use check numbers or something like that. Here are some additional features. Read the entire context. Give me the full date. I mean, this is where prompting really wins, right? You have to have a really good, strong prompt. There's a couple of very important things. There's a difference between beginning and ending balance. Verify by summing it at the end. Let me know if they don't add up, that sort of thing. So you're gonna do it once, build one long set of instructions so you don't have to do it over and over. And then once that GPT is ready to go, then we're gonna go ahead and update it or save it, and then we can start playing with it. So let's go to the GPT, and also can I share this one? I wonder if I can share this one. Let's see. So share, there we go. So I'm gonna share this, and I'm gonna share with anyone with a link, copy the link, and of course I'm gonna go into here and call this one statement converter. Make that live so you can play with it yourself. Again, this is the one part that I think ChatGPT is more powerful in, is just being able to share these chatbots with the world. Okay, so we'll go back into ChatGPT here. Let's go ahead and update it. And for context, I'm going to give you the sort of the bank statement here. I'm going to show it to you, that I'm going to use for conversion. Okay, so I'm going to let me search it for my computer here. Chase statement. I have it on the other screen. Give me a second. I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so this Chase statement, this is like the sample statement that I use for training and everything. It's a regular statement. It contains some deposits. It contains some debit card withdrawals type of transactions. It contains checks, and it also contains check images. Now, this is best case scenario because the names of the checks are typed in. If they were handwritten, it's a little bit harder for it to read that. But this is a good example of sort of a generic bank statement that you can use to test this. So we're going to view the GPT, and I created a prompt question, which is I'm going to upload a bank statement or a credit card statement, again, to just give it some guidance in terms of like how it should be looking at that. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to upload a bank statement, and then I'm just going to click and drag that statement and drop it in there and just hit send. So I pre-did the work on creating the prompt. That way I don't have to tweak this so much. And you will be, as you create your own custom GPTs, you will be going back and fixing the prompting. Okay, so like I promise you, it's not going to be a one-time thing. But so one of the things that's pretty interesting here, again, it literally grabbed the memo from the description, and if if it made a mistake, I can say for checks, do payee and memo. Okay, so basically I'm just telling it to go back and sort of correct itself and do that. Okay, so check it out, that it's going to like sort of split this up for me, and it's reading it from the actual check image. Okay, all right, so now it says I will now create a CSV file. Shall I proceed? Yes, create the CSV file now. And because we built a custom GPT, it even popped up the potential response that I can give it. So it's actually pretty cool too. So that pop-up is really good. So now you're seeing sort of the guts of the programming, which is using Python. It's programming language, and it's using whatever that code base that it is to convert everything into a CSV file. So you got to give it a chance for it to go through that, and eventually it will literally create a CSV file for you. Okay. All right. While it does that, I'm going to go through the questions here and see which of the live questions I can answer. Okay, so one of the questions here is, can it process audio files? So yes, it can process audio files and transcribe them, which is really interesting. The other one is, if you have a common chart of accounts, can it code your expenses by that chart of accounts? Yes, so you would load your chart of accounts into the general context, and then you would give it instructions and say, hey, I want you to categorize these transactions based on whatever you think the best possible answer can be. Can you use voice commands? Yes, the paid version can do voice commands. I have not done any voice commands from the desktop application. I've only done voice commands from the physical, from the phone app, from the mobile app, because most of this stuff involves uploading documents and stuff like that. It's really not going to work really well for voice. So for now, you might need to add maybe a browser extension or something that can do voice to text, and you can use basically external tools to convert your voice into text. But in terms of ChatGPT using voice, only the phone app can do that. We have a question about the other GPT, the cleanup work is, can you upload transaction totals by month, by year, or per job? Yes, you can. And again, it's how you build that initial prompt where you tell it how you're going to be feeding the information. So to me, it's really important that you visualize in your mind what the purpose of this GPT is, and guide you, the person that's chatting with this, which is probably going to be you, the firm owner, the line level employee, a person you're trying to train, whatever. Like, you want to guide that person through the process and also guide them through how you built the logic of the custom GPT and the prompting. So here's the CSV file that it converted. I'm gonna go ahead and open that and show you what that looks like. And here is my converted CSV file. Okay, there we go. Okay, is it perfect? Sometimes it won't read the stuff correctly. Sometimes it'll miss some transactions. This is all part of the iteration of making this system better. But I particularly told it how I wanted the information to be split up. Notice it even missed the payee names. And I can go back and saying, you missed the payee names on the CSV. And again, it'll fix itself and go there. So that's it with the live examples that we have. We're coming here towards the end. Go back into the slides. Every single thing that we did, it's walked through in the slides. We only used 2 examples, or actually 3 examples. The next couple of examples, they need to come from you. You gotta do your work and play with this and kind of let your imagination run wild. There's additional video comparisons of these 2 sort of ChatGPT versus Claude options. So I put them in the slides. There's also additional resources in the slide. And again, if you like, the stuff that I teach, if you want to come meet me in person, if you want to learn how to become more influential with your conversations as an accountant, come down to Reframe in October in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in Hollywood Beach, Florida, reframe2024.com. And there is my email. Any questions you have about ChatGPT, all the stuff that I do, send the email. I'll do my best to send you whatever resources can answer that. Thank you very much. And I give it to CPA Academy to wrap things up.